What's up, guys? It is Kai Wynn back here for a little lunch mukbang reaction. Yes, I'm eating on camera because why not? I was gonna do this anyways, and I want to share this moment with y'all. I'm also very hungry, so yeah, this video deserves a snack because I watched this video. It's called "How to Beat the Mental Game of Trading." I watched it 1 year ago when it was first posted, like a few months before it was first posted, and what happened is that um, actually, yeah. So I watched it like right when it was first posted, and this video low key changed how I thought about the mental game. It was my first introduction into psychology of trading. Now, I obviously already had a mentor. I obviously was already learning, but as far as directly psychology, I didn't know it was that deep until I saw this video. So it's blown up to over 700,000 views. It's not on the screen, so I don't know how to show you that, but it's up to 700,000 views now. And the one thing that stuck with me was to always write a contract to yourself. So it's literally promising yourself that you're going to show up every single day and trade, no excuses, follow your rules. So I'm rewatching it with y'all, pausing to react, eating my salad and my chips and my apple and my water. And we're just going to break down like how this hits a year later. So some stuff I agree with, harder than ever, some stuff I don't agree with anymore, and how I see the market after owing the market. So this video, I watched it before taking my biggest loss. And so it's going to be very chill, very real, and probably going to be long because I got some thoughts. And I want you to grab your lunch if you have it, and let's get into watching this video together. It played a little bit, but we're going to ignore that and we're going to just play it now.
Stick to your trading rules? Why do you keep blowing account after account, telling yourself each and every time, this is my rock bottom? You tell yourself this, but you keep, as opposed to planning your trades, you keep chasing price. You keep getting bad entries, which lead to terrible stop limits. You keep moving your...
Yeah, chasing price is crazy. I didn't understand what any of the words he just said meant until I started trading myself. But yeah, chasing those trades, that is called setting your money on fire.
Stop limit. You keep looking for strategy after strategy, conning yourself into thinking that the problem is the strategy, it's not the psychology. The harsh truth about this is that you cannot become a profitable trader without overcoming this specific aspect of trading, which is the psychological aspect, right? Now, the reason that we are terrible traders by nature, all of us, including me, including your favorite trader, right? We are all bad traders is because we are human. The answer is a lot simpler than you think. It is based in the makeup of our brains. Our brains have been evolving for millions of years, right? And they're evolved to do what? To survive. That is why I'm talking to you in front of this camera today, is because we survived as a species over millions and millions of years. The problem is our brains are programmed to survive, right?
They
to keep our species alive. Now, why is this bad for trading? You might think that this might
trading goes against
not affect trading at all, or you might think that trading is has nothing to do with the way that we've survived for millions of years, and you couldn't be more wrong. So in this video, it's just going to be a raw video talking to you about some of the lessons that I've learned in psychology over the years. It took me years to overcome this, to become a profitable trader. It took me years to get to a point where I'm making 5 figures, let alone 6 figures as a trader, right? It took me years to not lose. And hopefully in this video, I'm going to shed light on and make you understand really what parts of the human psychology are working when you are revenge trading, or when you're shooting yourself in the foot, when you are going down a path that is emotional and not psychological. Right? As I said, the harsh truth is that you have to overcome this aspect of your trading, but the good news is that you can overcome it. Now, why do most traders lose? You see this statistic all the time, right? People throw out 99%, some people throw out 95%, some people throw out 90%. No one really comes under 90% because it is a high percentage of traders that lose. Let me ask you this. If it was just a matter of guessing price, don't you think that you would be right 50% of the time, right? If you think of it as a coin flip where it's just is price.
Facts. It's only calls or puts. You have a 50-50 chance in everything. So this is such a great point.
It's going to go up or is price going to go down? You only have 2 choices, right? You can either long it or short it. So you would think that it would be somewhat around a coin flip. Any 50-50 proposition that I give you, if we do it enough times, you will get closer to 50-50. But why is it that 90% plus of traders lose? It's because we are all human. There is nothing wrong with you per se. There is something wrong with you as a trader, but there's nothing wrong with you as a human. It means your brain is firing as it should be.
That's real, though.
So what is going on, and how do we undo this, or better yet, not let it affect us as much, because you're not going to be able to undo it perfectly, right? But you can undo it, at least as it relates to trading, to where you are now taking a different path towards profitability.
Oh. It's okay. There we go.
First, it's important to understand why humans are attracted to trading. You might, as I told you in the beginning, you might think to yourself, trading has nothing to do with survival. Why are our brains and the way that our brains work inextricably tied to failing at trading? Well, let's take a step back. Why are people attracted to trading, right? People are attracted to trading because
for money.
Most of humans on Earth are stuck in some sort of rat race, right? Their salary is capped. Their freedom is capped, right? They don't have a ton of freedom because they're likely working a 9 to 5. Their salary is capped because you can't just go every single day and ask your boss for more money. Well, you can, but you know what the result will be, right? But all of these things are capped. And once someone discovers trading, or they see other traders that are successful, they see the possibilities of what trading can bring to them, they start linking that to survival, because it is a literal ATM machine. Obviously, literally, once you become profitable and go through years of hardship, years of training, years of market experience, but people can see the outcome. And now with social media, they could see it more than ever, right? They see the outcome of profitable trading. They see the payouts. They see the account balances. They see the lifestyle. So you automatically link that to survival as a human being, because it is above and beyond, most likely for most people, it is above and beyond
what you can make anywhere
now, right? Like the reason that Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, the reason that they're not attracted to trading, as in day trading, is because they don't need it. It's not part of their survival, right? They're not capped in a way that 99.9% of human beings are. So being that you are a human being with limitations in your life as it relates to the amount of money you can make and as it relates to the freedoms that you have, you automatically associate trading or success at trading with survival. Your mind starts bursting with possibilities, right? And imagined outcomes. What could my life look like if I just succeeded at this one thing? I need to do it. What could my life look like? How different could it be? How different could my family's life be, right? So you can easily see now, at least if you didn't think so before, you can at least see the connection now between trading and survival. But as I told you at the outset, our brains have been evolving for millions of years, and everything in trading is antithetical to the way that our brains have been programmed. See, now that we've linked trading to survival, you could see easily how losing can feel to your brain, can feel like not surviving. So what happens when you lose, right? What happens when you lose in trading? When you lose in an aspect of life that your brain now links to survival? Well, you're a human being, right? We didn't survive millions of years by not being problem solvers. So in our minds, when we lose, we try to solve the problem. The problem with this is that we are sitting in front of our desks with a mouse that has one button on it. And all we could do is take another trade, right? At least that's what you think for now. All you could do is take another trade. So when your brain experiences that loss, and your emotional being experiences that loss, you automatically go into problem-solving mode, right? Because you are now panicking.
Revenge trading or exiting your trade.
The problem with this is that you think problem-solving means taking another trade. I have to fix this, or I won't survive.
I have to
fix this, right, or my chances of survival are at stake. I have to fix this, or the life that I've been imagining of uncapped money and uncapped.
And the more that you don't try to fix it, the more you realize that you were safe the whole time. Because naturally, like he's saying, we think that when we are revenge trading that we're actually doing something to help ourselves. But actually, the more that you don't revenge trade, the more your brain's like, oh wait, we didn't revenge trade and we're fine. So you do that once and it's hard. You do a second and it's easier. And the more times you repeat that action over and over to not revenge trade, the more your body starts to remember, hey, actually I am safe. I don't have to revenge trade. And that's how a bad habit leaves you, is by repeating the good habit so many times and going against it, because it is our nature.
Freedom will not happen for me and my family. So I have to fix this. So automatically you take another trade. Now imagine a hunter, right? Imagine a hunter puts his sights on an animal, right? We're in the wild. We lived in the wild for millions of years. We've only been at desks for, a few hundred years. So in the wild, imagine that you're going after a kill and you miss your first target, right? You miss the animal that's in front of you. There are animals grazing around in the perimeter, but you miss the first one. What do you do then? Do you just jump up out of your hole that you've been hiding in and start firing indiscriminately at all the animals?
Absolutely not.
No, you don't, because you'll be exposed. All the animals will run away. You'll never get a kill.
You're dead.
This is what revenge trading is like, right? This is what revenge trading is like. What would you do if you were a hunter? If you missed the first
you would sit
kill,
there and wait again.
See that there are still other animals in your vicinity. Well, you would reposition yourself. If the first animal ran away, then you might, set your sights on another one that's in distance. You might calculate, okay, this one is a little closer than the other one was, so that means that I have to adjust my aim, but I still have to maintain my calm, maintain quiet, because I cannot go home without food. So when we enter a trade, taking another one immediately is not the answer. As a matter of fact, I bet you if you kept statistics on the trade that you took after the losing one, I bet you it wouldn't even crack 5%.
They're always either losers or they
success, meaning that
are super small winners.
After you take a loss, say your stop limit gets hit, and you immediately enter another trade.
And this is low-key a cheat code. If you just only take one trade a day, you automatically reduce more losses and keep more money. You don't even have to do anything different. You just have to stop taking the trade you take after your main trade. If you lose the trade, stay out. Because if you follow your rules the following day, you're probably going to make money. But if you keep taking trades after in revenge trading, well, now you're just setting yourself back, because you continue to put yourself in a position where you have to try to make it back. And that's a mindset that will never get you to actually be profitable. Just stop taking those dumb trades after. You will make so much more money. Just walk away with more money without doing anything extra. That's literally a cheat code. Just trade once or twice a day. And once you lose, you cut it. Cheat code.
I guarantee you that the success of those trades that you've taken will not even crack a 5% win rate. See, the most dangerous trade that you take is the one right after a losing trade. It's the one that is the least informed, that has the least amount of thought. It is all emotional. It is the most dangerous trade that you take. So one of the things that I've managed to do over the years was, in my mind, make an association between clicking and losing. Meaning, if my stop limit hits, the last thing I should do is click to enter another trade, right? That trade is a losing trade. I automatically equate, if I hear that sound that goes off when my stop limit hits, I automatically, it's like Pavlovian, right? I automatically equate the next trade that I take immediately after as a losing trade, right? Now, in the beginning, I will give you some tips on what to do. Actually, let's keep it till the end. I will give you some tips on what to do, how to resolve some of these inefficiencies that have been programmed in our brain. But here's why going down this path of revenge trading is so dangerous, because after weeks, months, years of doing it, you start to develop something called loss aversion. Now, what is loss aversion? Loss aversion is exactly what it sounds like. It's when you are scared of losing, right? And I bet you, because you're watching this, right, I bet you are most likely an unprofitable trader, and I'm not trying to denigrate you. I'm not insulting you. So stop me if I'm lying, but again, you're probably an unprofitable trader. And I bet when you enter a trade, your gut feeling, your gut reaction, when you enter a trade,
scared.
the first thing you say to yourself is, I hope I don't lose this trade. Or,
scared.
Man, I hope my stop limit doesn't get hit. I think my stop limit is going to get hit. I hate
All
when my
those
stop limit
thoughts.
gets hit. And I guarantee you that you're not saying time and time again when you enter a trade, I guarantee you're not saying, oh, I know what the stats are in this setup. This is my preferred setup. This is my A. It has all of the trappings of an A+ trade according to my rules, my back-tested strategy. I know this setup, and if I wait until price gets to my entry, then I'll be fine, right? If I wait until price gets to my entry, I know likely what's going to happen with a 65% or 70% degree of confidence that the trade is going to hit. I guarantee you're not thinking on those.
And the point here is that, or that at least I take away from it, is it's so much easier to click a button than it is to sit there and think all the stuff you just said. Is this my strategy? If I wait, it'll come to me. I know if I wait, it'll work because this is back tested. I know the stats on this. I know what I'm like. You have all the things, all the confluences, all the confirmations all together. And if you can recite those using your rules list or your trading plan or whatever you want to use, like in my live trading videos, you'll see it's like a list with check boxes, and I go through and I literally check through them before I make a trade. Did I follow all my rules? Did I do all the things? And then if it's all clear, I'm all good to go, right? But it's so much easier to click a button and just press buy. I want to buy. I want to buy. I think it's good. But guess what? When you actually take time to go through that list, you actually don't need to rush into a trade because you don't need it to come to you as soon as possible, because you know when it fulfills all your list, it's an A+ trade. That's the difference between taking that loser that makes you go crazy versus taking really great trades, because you're actually going through your list, knowing what you're supposed to trade, and then it actually works out in your favor. Oh my gosh, who would have thought? Like, if you stop, you actually make money faster. If you stop and recite all those things, you actually make money faster. But it's so easy to just click buy and just jump into it. But if you force yourself, like I said, make it a habit. Every single time you're about to take a trade, you literally say to yourself, I recommend having it written down, but you have all your rules. And if you want to see an example of rules, the video I posted today, actually, my live recap from earlier, has all that in there. It's December 16th, so whatever is posted on December 16th in my live section is a good example of that. But literally having those things that you recite, and eventually you won't even have to look at your list, but you should. But eventually you're just gonna be like, okay, I know this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. I'm not jumping in, right? It's a habit you have to build.
Terms, and you cannot be a profitable trader until you get to that point. So the problem with revenge trading, or the problem with entering trades, rushing your entries, chasing price, etc., all this stuff, the problem with all this stuff is that it builds over time, weeks, months, years of what we call loss aversion. So now all you are doing is entering a trade hoping you don't lose. You're no longer entering a trade to maximize your profits and build your account up, right? You are entering a trade hoping not to lose. So now you associate trading with pain. You still see the possibilities, right? And especially if you're on social media, you still see the possibilities of what trading can bring. So you keep doing it. A lot of people do quit. A lot of people don't, right? Years they don't quit. But now you associate trading with pain. And this is the worst place that you can be in. And everybody, successful or not, has been in this place, right? But I'm hoping, again, to shed light on this so that when it's happening, when you are doing these bad habits, you can see it in real time, like Neo from the Matrix, and you can stop yourself, right? And I will give you tips on things you can do in order to avoid these pitfalls. But now you associate trading with pain, right? So you start reinforcing even worse habits. So you let your losses run, right? You remove your stop limit and you let that position bleed because you're hoping that it turns around. And now you might be hoping that it turns around just to cut your losses as opposed to winning a trade, right? But the reason you do this is to avoid pain. You take profits too early, right? The minute that you see green, you close it out. Because remember, you now associate trading with pain. You no longer are associating trading, or you might have never associated trading with a profitable strategy. So Now, the minute that you see green, you cut it and you take green on, you might take $150 or $200, and then the trade ends up running for $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. And you're like, oh my God, that was where my target profit was. If I just kept it, why didn't I keep it? It's because you're trying to avoid pain. You associate trading with pain. You keep trading after taking large losses, or you might revenge trade. The source of that, we talked about this a little bit. You're trying to problem solve.
With the last point, I don't really agree with that. Simply because some people's strategy does not include letting trades run. For me personally, my strategy does not include trades running because I trade very different than someone who trades a breakout. Someone who's trading a break of structure or a breakout, their strategy allows them to let trades run, right? Because there's no upside. It's breaking out, and there's technically no upside until the next resistance or next support or etc. My trading is so systematic to where trades running or letting your runners run, that's not a thing. Because guess what? A lot of the times, based on my strategy, a lot of the times what happens is that a trade will run and it shrinks right back up. So now I feel like when it hits my profit, I now am on a time clock to make sure that I'm letting these run, and I have to hurry up and get out, and I have to make sure that I close. And that is just how I feel mentally at this current time, right? But what happens is that when you keep letting things run like that, and you keep letting your trades run, but your strategy is not meant for that, all you do is you catch the squeeze of every trade, and you end up with less than you would have had if you exited at your key level or your regular take profit. And I say that because a lot of things in trading, especially if you're a scalper, I think this is more so for me because I'm a scalper, right? I think this way because I'm a scalper. I have a scalper's mindset. But if you're trading and you're a scalper, you should already be taking moves that give you the profit margin that you want. I don't need my trade to run to leave with what, like, that's almost like saying you work a job but you rely on tips. Like, that does that make a lot of people do that, but it doesn't actually make sense in the long run because you can't rely on tips the same way you can't rely on your trade running. So what I do is I focus more on keeping my losses so small that I can literally exit at my take profit every single time, and then I'm always making the amount of money that I want to make, instead of having the mindset of, well, you have a take profit, but you also can let it run, but it also might squeeze on you, and then you also are a scalper, so you have to pay attention to the time. Like, that's a lot. So I personally don't trade like that with the point that he just mentioned, but I know a lot of people that do trade like that. They love to let their runners run, but you cannot rely on a trade running, one, because it might squeeze, and two, because you actually don't know if it's just squeezing a 10 cent or if it's squeezing another $5. Now, I have had many times where I exit my personal trade. I'm like, bro, this is running another $15. I'm going to get back in for a second trade of the day. And that's like a very rare occasion because trades really don't run that often in my personal experience. And again, could be wrong, but that's just my thought on that part. So if you are a trader and you actually don't like letting your runners run, you're not just scared. Like, I think the way that some people think about it or they talk about it is that if you're a person who doesn't let your runners run, then you are super scared. But it's like, if I'm going in risk managed and I already have a price that I'm willing to sell at, and I am already like in this trade and I'm waiting for it to get to my point and it literally exits where I want it to, or I guess it stops where I want it to, why am I trying to guesstimate where it's going to run to? That just leads to a lot of inconsistency for me mentally, and I just don't trade like that. So I focus a lot more on consistent, everyday, systematic, active trading than I do passive, because that's more passive trading where you're just letting it run and you're just like getting out whenever you get out. Like, I don't really trade like that.
Your way out of bad trading, right? But you, at the end of the day, are trying to avoid pain. You want to get back to green, right? So you're trying to avoid pain. Trading without real conviction, meaning chasing price, FOMOing into a trade that someone else might have taken that you missed their good entry. And so now you're taking a suboptimal entry because you now have a fear of missing out, and a fear of missing out causes pain. So your subconscious mind that has been, evolving for millions of years is trying to survive and avoid pain because it sees trading as survival, and it sees success in trading as surviving, right? So this is all antithetical to trading. This is why you always hear, oh, you have to be a robot when you trade. You have to remove your emotions when you trade. Guess what? That's impossible to remove your emotions. You're a human being, right? Unless you're a psychopath, which I don't know what the stats are on psychopaths in trading, but you are a human being with real emotions, right? And it's hard to suppress your emotions. However, you can rewire your brain. Obviously, there's been millions of studies done on cognitive behavioral therapy, on rewiring the brain in order to make certain associations more prevalent or to suppress certain associations. So in your mind, right, like you have to make the association. For instance, as I said before, clicking is losing, right? If you make that association and you keep reinforcing it over and over again, then you are less likely to do it, right? But you still feel bad when you take a loss. It's just what are you doing now as opposed to revenge trading, right? Letting the emotions build up so much into a decision. You can still feel bad, and there are ways to.
The other thing I want to say with the point I just made is that if you are in the habit of letting your runners run and like it hasn't worked out for you, which is fine. Like trend lines work for so many people. I'm not gonna say hate. I just completely ignore them like they don't exist. I'm like, no, I don't do those. So, and they're a basic for a lot of people. They love them. They're fundamental to a lot of people's trading strategy. So everything is objective, right? But what I'm saying is that if you have a strategy that doesn't really allow runners, or you really don't like trading runners, that's actually not a bad thing. Because if you are trading runners, you're also going to trade things that cut too short. There's a point in the middle where you trade your strategy and you strategize, like you trade your plan and plan your trade. You plan what you're going to trade and you trade that plan, period. And then there's a side over here where you're cutting too short. And there's a side over here where you're holding too long. I try to stay in the center. I try to have my plan, trade my plan my trade my plan, yeah, that's what I do. If I was having an issue where I was cutting trades too early, and it's because I was in the mindset that I could let it run if I wanted to. So I'm playing both of these sides. Like you can't choose. They're two sides of the same coin. Either you let your runners run or you cut stuff too early. It's really hard to balance both. I have never been able to find my balance with both. And that's really why I'm adverse to doing that. I really just don't like it. Because trading your strategy is already like enough to remember. And so why would I add all those extra things on top?
Overcome the emotion of losing a trade, right? In the beginning, actually we can jump into this now. So what are some things that you can do in order to improve this aspect of your trading? And I guess I want to start off and just say, before we get into what are some things you could do to mitigate, not all problems with trading are psychological, right? This is something that you hear a lot of newbies say, like, oh, my problems are psychological. Yes, you do have psychological problems as it relates to trading, but how do you know that your problems aren't technical? Are you trading a back-tested strategy? Are you trading a strategy that you've tested out or paper traded for months and you know is profitable, but the only problem is that you go outside of that strategy, right? If you are not at the point yet,
to beginners, when you get to the point where you know your profit, your strategy works, and it's only that you're not following the strategy, that's such a good place to be at. Like you have I feel like that might be level 1 of like breaking that barrier of trading. Because when you have a strategy that's working and it works when you work it, oh my gosh. Because there's like a moment in time where everyone, some people deal with it longer, some people deal with it shorter, but where you're entering and exiting and you don't know why you're winning or you're losing, right? When you get to the point where you know what your strategy should be, and then you have psychology issues where you don't follow it or you just ignore it or you just don't know why you can't just stick to it, that's a really great place to be. I was in that place for quite some time, but it was the best part of my journey for sure. I wouldn't change it.
You have a strategy. You're not confident in the strategy that you're trading. That's fine. Your problems should start with finding a back-tested strategy. There are tons of people online that you can follow that have back tested strategies or that have stats to back up their trading or have payouts or whatever, right? That's really not that hard to find a winning trading strategy because they all, from my experience, a lot of them work, right? SMC/ICT works. I know traders that trade just momentum. I know traders that use footprint charts and volume, etc. There isn't just one strategy that works, right? If you can find a strategy that's more than a 50% win rate and you can stick to that mechanically, then you will likely find profitability, right? It's just the problem of being confident in that strategy and only taking trades in that strategy. So I just want to put that out there that a lot of times if you are really, really, really a beginner trader, your problem is not psychological. If you are a good technician, if you know how to read a chart, if you're comfortable entering trades, if you are familiar with certain strategies that work, if you see your stats work when you do trade your strategy, but the problem is that you're trading outside of it, then your problem is likely psychological or mostly psychological, right? So here are some tips that I can give you in order to overcome your natural pitfalls as it relates to trading. Number one, sign a contract each and every morning. I've talked about this time and time again, but write a contract, say, I will only take trades that adhere to my rules. I will not market in.
I don't do this anymore. I think I did it for like a week, maybe less than that. I have the original contract. But I don't do it anymore simply because it helps me more to literally read through it and check it off. It's the same thing, right? But it's just not a contract that I sign. So I just do it in a different way.
Market order in. I will only wait for my limit price to hit. I will set the trade up before I get in. I will have my stop limit, my T.
I agree with this. Before 9:30 a.m. hits, which is market open Eastern Standard Time, you need to have a exit. You need to have a entry. I'm talking down to the decimal. You need to have I was going to say one more thing. You need to have I forgot what I was going to say.
P and
my... I was going to say you need to load your contracts. That's something that I added into my trading plan recently. Obviously, I didn't listen to him a year ago when I watched this video, but you have to load your contracts. What I mean is you need to go select, like based on whatever news is happening, it's going to be priced differently. So you need to go in, see what type of contract you're going to buy, literally load it up, and also give yourself some room if it starts to be volatile and it jumps 20, 30 bucks, like still make sure you're still in that 10% risk management of your account. However, you need to load those, like if those things aren't set, you're done for. Absolutely 100% a exit, 100% a direct entry down to the decimal, and then also load your contract with one contract in there. And if you want to, like sometimes, I guess this would technically be like a runner. I set a secondary exit of like, if it starts to push really hard and it comes down to this line, this is a very common push that it would do maybe another 50 cents, 60 cents, $1. I would literally draw a secondary exit. Like, okay, if it starts to push really hard, get out, but literally ignore it until your profit has been in profit, right? So I'm not using it until I need to, but I mark it so that I do have it when I need it.
Entry defined before I get in. So write down all of your ground rules and leave a space for a signature and go to a copy store and print 250 of them for the number of trading days a year.
That might have been my problem. I did it digitally. Maybe I should have went to the print store and got me some copies.
And sign it every morning and leave it on your desk right next to your keyboard. Trust me, this will work. It's not going to fix all your problems, but I bet you it will limit the amount of trades, the number of trades that you take. I guarantee you it will cut down the number of unnecessary trades that you take. It's not going to solve all your problems. Nothing will, except for reinforcing these good habits every single day and then seeing the results, becoming confident, and then sticking to those results, right? Once you see a small subset of good results, it gives you the confidence to stick to those results, and it compounds like a snowball. Trust me. After each and every trading session, you should be able to recall off the top of your head every single trade that you took.
Yep.
Right. A lot of times you'll see
if you journal and it's sloppy afterwards, or especially if you journal and you don't want to keep journaling, you're like, this is too much. That's how you know. And that was my problem. I was like, once I hit 3 trades a day, like, I'm like, bro, I'm not journaling all of this stuff, bro. I'm not journaling all these entries and all these scaling plans and all this risk management. I'm not journaling all of that. That's honestly why I started to trade once a day, 1 trade a day, because I'm lazy. And it actually worked out in my favor, and I learned why it benefited me after. But I really started doing it because I was lazy, and journaling 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 trades a day is not sustainable.
You're guilty of this, but you'll see your executions after the day's over, and there's like a million trades, right? Mm-hmm. And if I said, hey, what did you trade today? You will not be able to recall each and every single trade, but you should be able to recall each and every single trade. So on most days, if you ask me what did I trade, I can easily tell you, okay, I took a long on the NASDAQ in the morning, and I shorted gold in the PM session, and that's it, right? That's how your trading day should look. Yeah. Because once you find confidence in your strategy, then the next step up is to scale your trades. You will not need more trades. You will just need bigger size trades. Obviously, once you get to a point where you have achieved some semblance of profitability, then the path to compounding that is to increase the size little by little on your trades, as opposed to taking more trades. Don't ever...
Oh. If you don't understand the rules of power, you will certainly lose to someone who does. I'm going to...
Ever enter a trade without having a defined stop limit, yep, TP, and entry. I've already talked about this, but every single one of your trades should look like this, okay? Every single one. If they don't, it's because you don't have a system. The other thing is, do not move your stop limit around. Now, it's okay to have a dynamic stop limit, meaning...
I don't move my stop limit, and that's why I have 2 different stops. I have one... Oh, let me not pause him.
If your trade hits...
Respect. That's why I have, my regular TP, which is like exit 1, and I have exit 2. I have that because you have to have those things pre-made and predetermined.
1.5 R or 1 R, 1 to 1, and you say, at this point, I'm going to move my stop limit to break even. That's fine. But just fidgeting with your stop limit and your take profit constantly, it just shows that you...
So my exit lines are my take profits, and I do have stop loss. I use a trailing stop loss for the most part. Really, with my trading style, I don't really need them anymore. But I do really like using them because it puts you into break even, and then you kind of can just let the trade go into your favor depending on how big of a price movement you're trading. But yeah.
Likely don't have a mechanical system yet, right? So do not do that. If you do have a system, if you have a mechanical system that you should be trading, do not move around your stop limit and your take profit. Just don't do it at all. The next one, we talked about this before, but always equate clicking with losing, meaning after your stop limit hits, if you lose on the trade, you should always equate clicking right after that with losing, right? Clicking does not mean there's a chance to win. It automatically means...
And this really comes from not only one, being told it, obviously I didn't listen, but also doing it so many times to where you're like, oh my gosh, I never won after. Let me just stop. It's almost like giving up on things that don't work, like how I don't use trend lines anymore. Like, I just ignore it. It doesn't exist to me. So doing more than 1 trade a day doesn't exist to me. I just don't do that because I've seen it hundreds of times that the trade after is either only a few dollars or just a small little win compared to what I already won. So it like bumps up a decent trade to like barely a little, like it's not worth it to go back in. But also too, if it's a loser, now you just took away profits. So by cutting your trade you do after, you're not only cutting all of your losses, but you're also getting more comfortable with not being greedy and just taking the green you already had instead of like bumping up some, like let's say 50, you gain $50 and then you take another trade and now it's 51. Like, oh, congratulations, but you just risked like money to have to get that dollar. So it just doesn't make sense psychologically either. Like it's two sides of the same coin. Again, like you're either going to have that loss or on the opposite side you have a small gain, but for the most part those two things really don't make, they're not needle movers in your account growth anyways.
A loss, if you're able to associate that right over and over and over again, then I guarantee you will limit the number of times that you click after losing a trade.
Yeah.
You should also implement some sort of good habit, some sort of recurring good habit after a loss, right? You should be going to the gym or going outside or doing push-ups or going for a drive or spending time with your family, or say, if my stop limit hits, I have to get up out of the seat and do X, whatever X it.
This is probably the hardest thing for me personally, is trying to get off the charts when I said I was going to. And the only thing that helped me is, I'm not trying to be rude, but I'm being honest. The only thing that helped me was getting a life. Like if you have a life to live, then you're not going to care about staying on a chart and staring at a laptop. Just being honest. Especially if you take one trade a day, you already made your money. Or let's just say you stop trading by 12 p.m. and it's 11:58. Like you're more excited to like the rest of your day. Go talk to your friends. Go talk to your parents. Go talk to your siblings. Go do the thing that you're supposed to do your dishes 3 days ago. Go do your dishes. Go clean your bathroom. Go clean your room. Go do something with your time. And then once you do that thing, it kind of just like, you always find other things to do. But what happened for me is I had to literally, one, get okay with being bored. Like, get okay with not being bored, but be okay with not trading, right? Because trading is our passion. Trading is what feels like home to us. Trading is our safe place. Like, we literally love the charts. If we could be on there 24/7, we would. But it's not good for us. So accepting that fact is what made me want to do other things. And all I really do is I call somebody, or I will go out and do, like, I work out in the mornings, normally 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. So the workout's already done for the day. So that's kind of out of the picture. But I will go and just find something to do. Like, go do something. And I have to, like, get away from the computer at all. Like, I don't just close the computer and lay in my bed, because I'm going to just open it back up. But if I actually go do an activity, that's what occupies me. And now I don't have to do that anymore. It's like over time, I just lost the care for staying on a chart. But definitely just find something specific to do. Like, go have a specific person that you call every single day at whatever time, or don't even tell them. Just start calling them every single day and just let that be that. Or just find something to do, or maybe always book something right after. So always have a call or a client right after. Always have a set deadline you have for a video to make for YouTube, or always have a set line for, hey, I'm gonna go get groceries, or go get my breakfast, go out for a coffee, right? I like, just do something that gets you out and keeps you obligated to something that's not on the charts.
Playing guitar, whatever. You can come back to your desk in order to trade, but do not look at that same setup anymore immediately after you take a loss, right? Do not stay stuck to that setup. Go away, come back in 5, 10, 15.
So the thing that I was telling you is like for every single day, right? So I stopped trading at 11:30. I literally schedule my day around everything that needs to happen starts happening after 11:30. I don't even have an interest in going back to the market. By the time 4 p.m. rolls around, I'm like, oh, it's 4:15, and I haven't even looked at my computer because I schedule my life around it. What he's saying is more so when you take a loss to come back. For me, only take one trade a day. If I lose, I'm not coming back. So I'm still using that same habit, right? It's not any different. Every single day is the same. I'm always leaving them, like, win or lose or whatever, I'm always going to close that laptop after whatever specific time.
20 minutes, and then look at the chart and reassess from there. And if another trade fits your criteria, again, you're supposed to have a set of criteria. If another trade fits your criteria, then you can enter it. But The minute that your stop limit hits, get the hell up off of your desk and
screaming.
go do something else. And make that thing a habit. Every time I take a loss, I do 100 push-ups. Every time I take a loss, I go practice guitar for 20 minutes. Every time I take a loss, I go make the kids breakfast or whatever, right? Every time I take a loss, I go for 1 mile run.
And honestly, I don't agree with this personally, because when you take a loss, it makes you justify not doing anything else. You don't want to eat, you don't want to sleep, you don't want to talk, you don't want to whatever. So if every single day is the same, right? Win or loss, every single day is the same. Then the thing after it is not considered good or bad, right? If you only go do those things when you take a loss, well, there's going to be a day where you want to go play the guitar but you don't, and now you're reinforcing that you don't even want to do the things you want to do when you aren't trading properly and all those things. Like, I just treat it as like life happens afterwards, and I think that what he's saying is good for a beginner. Like, just basically distract yourself from that loss, recalibrate yourself emotionally, and come back to the charts. But what works best for me is that every single day looks the same. So whether I trade or not, the gym is happening in the morning. Whether I trade or not, like, these things are happening in my day. Like, I'm having a life, right? Whether I lose or win, I'm always going to do these things. So it's almost like every single day is the same. And the losses and the wins, that's for the P&L. Like, that's for the account. I'm not worried about that. So I don't do anything different if I win or I lose. Because if you lose, what's the likelihood that you're going to go take a walk? Nope, it's not happening. But if you have a 1 trade a day rule, you're more likely, and you do that every single day, you're more likely to just not trade after a loss, right? Even, especially because you know that second one is going to lose. So it's just a lot of stuff that compounds on each other. But I definitely agree with what he's saying.
Every time I take a loss, I go do 4 sets of bench press. Like, whatever it is. It could be anything, right? I go draw a picture or paint or whatever it is that you like to do. But you have to associate a trade hitting your stop limit with you getting off of your desk to do something. And finally, write down a summary of your trading session each and every day, right? What were your emotions? What trades did you take? Did you like certain things about what you did today? It's important to also reinforce good habits when you find them, right? What did you do today that you didn't like, that you want to avoid tomorrow? Doing this,
I like that,
really is underrated, because if today I did something like I revenge traded, right? I avoided revenge trading for 7 trading days straight, but today I revenge traded. So I can write that down. I guarantee you're much less likely to do it the next day, right? And then maybe you can go
exposing yourself
without revenge trading
every single day.
I want you to have
not just mentally feeling bad, like actually not just feel bad, but literally force yourself to think about it. Because a lot of the times we can just feel like, oh, I took this loss, I'm gonna just ignore it, or oh, I'm gonna do better tomorrow, but you don't specifically say what you're gonna do. So you have to really be detailed about that, for sure.
Risk management plan. I don't see a lot of traders having this, right? What are your limits for the day? Meaning, if you tell yourself, I can only take 1 loss per day, right? And your risk management plan might look something like this. You say you risk 250 to make 500, right? A 2-to-1, basic 2-to-1 risk to reward. Now, if you take a loss, you're done for the day. You're down 250. That's it. You're done for the day. You get up. You try again tomorrow. Okay. If you win, you make $500, right? And you allow yourself to take another trade. Now, what if you lose that second trade? So you made 500 the first trade, you lost 250 the next trade, you are now up 250 for the day, and you are done, because remember, you have a 1 loss trigger. Now, imagine you take 2 trades and you win. You are now up $1,000. And imagine you lost your third one. Then you would be up $750 on the day, and you are done because you took 1 L. Now, imagine this is a very, at least according to the way that I trade, this is a very unlikely scenario, but imagine you take 3 trades and you win all 3 of them. I'm not saying winning 3 trades is an unlikely scenario. I'm saying I rarely take 3 trades. But imagine you take 3 trades and you win all 3 of them, then you are now up $1,500 on the day, and I probably would venture to say you cannot find 4 A+ trades in a day, but either you stop or you take another trade until you lose, but you get the picture. that having a risk management plan where you're limiting yourself to one loss a day, and every trade, at least to begin with, until you get really good, but every trade to begin with is a 2-to-1 risk to reward. You're risking 250 to make 500. Like imagine those gains compounded,
right,
over a month.
Let your P&L
right?
add
Imagine
it up.
those gains compounded over a month, and more importantly, imagine the limited losses that you'll take if you actually stuck to this strategy. Exactly. Every time you lose, you only lose 250. But if you win 2 trades and lose 1, you're up 750. If you win 3 trades, you're up 1,500. Even if you win 1 trade and lose 1, you're still up 250. Like, people do not think of a risk management plan when they start trading, unfortunately. But hopefully I shed some light on why it is that...
Yes, so that's really such a good video, and I'm glad that I rewatched it, because what happens is that you trade for so long that you kind of forget where you started. So like the fact that I even understand half the stuff he was saying in the video is just a blessing. I thank God so much every single day. Like even on like I really want to say this really quickly, that even on a streak of not losing, even on a streak of losing, even on a few red days, even when you're not doing your best in your trading and you want to do better, even all those bad things, can we just take 1 second to appreciate that you're no longer struggling with the things you used to struggle with? I used to pray to not struggle with XYZ things, and now those things don't even exist to me. That is worth celebrating. That is worth being excited about, right? That is worth letting those things make me feel grateful, right? So even when you feel like God is like making you not trade for the moment, or making you only paper trade, or you're losing a lot of money or whatever, at least be grateful that you're no longer the trader that you used to be. So yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video, and thank you guys for chilling with me today.